Your business, your rules. Grow a business that works for you. This is the Her Business Podcast. Hey there, Suzi here. Welcome to the Her Business Podcast. I'm the CEO at Her Business and I am your host. And today I want to talk about something that I think is at the heart of why so many business owners feel stuck, even when on paper everything looks like it's working. Because here's what I've noticed after many years of working with women in business. The women who come to me for guidance and support, they're not beginners. They've already built a business that works. 6 figures, 7 figures, they have a team, they have clients who love them, they've got a great range of products and services that they love most of the time. And yet so many of them say the same thing, and that is, I feel like I've built a trap. And the business that was supposed to give them freedom has become the very thing that takes their freedom away every day. And so if that resonates with you, this episode is going to be a really important one, because today I'm going to walk you through something I call the identity gap. What it is, why it's the real reason you're stuck, and what it actually takes to close it. So let me start with a question, and I want you to really sit with this. When was the last time you felt truly free and happy in your business? Not busy, not productive, not successful on paper, but actually free, actually really happy. Because here's what I know. Most of us start our businesses because we want freedom. Freedom to choose our clients, freedom to set our own hours, freedom to build something that really matters. And yet along the way, time goes on and something shifts. The business grows, but so does the weight of carrying the business. You become the person everyone comes to, the person who holds it all together, the person who can't step away. And you've tried delegating, you've tried systems, you've tried working on the business instead of in it, but somehow you always end up right back where you started, in the middle with all the spokes pointing at you. And I want to tell you something that might feel like a relief. It is not your fault. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong, it's because maybe you're trying to solve the wrong problem. I was recently with a woman who runs an incredible business. She's done all this work to step out of the day-to-day, and then a crisis hit. And she found herself right back in the weeds, rewriting customer letters, managing logistics, doing a whole lot of things herself again. And she said something that really stayed with me. She said, I caught myself back in the operator role. But this time, I asked myself, what would a leader do? Now, this woman's taking part in a program I have called the Leadership Lab, and we talk about these two roles, the operator and the leader, and how our role as business owners is to keep stepping away from the operator role into the leader role. So she said, I caught myself back in the operator role, but this time I asked myself, what would a leader do? And the answer for her was, document this process so that next time it doesn't have to be me jumping back in the weeds. And that's the shift. And I want to tell you something else that might be a relief. If you keep ending up back in the weeds, again, it could be that you're trying to solve the wrong problem. So we're going to talk about that. Now, I want to talk about this idea about there being two versions of you. And I want to start by painting a picture. I want you to imagine two versions of yourself side by side. On the left is the operator. She's the one who started the business, who built it from scratch. She's resourceful, she's capable, she works incredibly hard. She's the one who says, just give it to me, I'll do it faster. She checks her emails at 11 p.m, she's in every meeting, she makes every decision, she's brilliant, and she's also exhausted. The one on the right, remember there's two versions of you side by side, she makes decisions with clarity. She trusts her team. She takes a week off and the business does not skip a beat. She's not carrying everything. She's creating space for what actually matters. Now, the operator and the leader, they are two different people. They have different skills, they have different mindsets, and they actually have completely different ways of operating. And right now, maybe you're stuck between those two roles. You can see the leader you want to become, but you're still showing up as the operator every day. The space between them, that's what I call the identity gap. And one of the women in the Leadership Lab, the program I just mentioned that we're running, it's a 4-week program, she said, I realized I'm a little bit further along than I thought I was. I still have a foot in both camps, operator versus leader, but I'm further than I thought. which was a nice realization for her and a fantastic one for me to hear as well. And I love that because so many women are further along than they give themselves credit for. The gap isn't always enormous. Sometimes it's just about recognizing where you already are and then deciding to keep going, to keep moving further into your leadership. And the thing that trips us up the most is this. When we feel stuck, what do? We look for a solution because we're entrepreneurs. That's what we do. A strategy, a system, a course. We think if I just learn the right thing, I'll figure this out. But the identity gap is not a skill problem. It is not about strategy. It is not about your knowledge. It is about your identity. You can't think your way into a new identity. You can't learn your way into a new identity. You have to become this other version of yourself. And that's a completely different kind of work. It's the work that lights me up. And it's the work I love helping women with. Another woman in our lab, our leadership lab, she said, when I started my business, I thought what I needed to do was to be really good at what I did. If I do a great job, she said, people will love my business. But that thinking shifted. Actually, she said, it's in my insights and my collective knowledge. That's the kind of leader that I need to be now. Not just be good at what I do, because I'm good at what I do, but if I'm good at what I do, if I do a great job, it probably means that I'm doing too much. So what she's saying is, if I'm just focusing on doing a better job at my job, I'm probably doing too much myself. And that last line really hit me. If you're doing a great job at everything, you're probably doing too much because that's not closing the gap. That's not transforming you into a leader. And I want to be really honest with you about what staying in the gap between operator and leader, between who you are and who you want to be, that actually costs you more than we realize. Firstly, it costs you your time because every decision, or almost every decision, runs through you. Every problem you solve that someone else could handle, every hour you spend doing instead of leading, that is time that you are never going to get back. Second, it costs you money because a business that depends entirely on you is a business that cannot scale beyond a certain point. You can keep raising your prices, but you are still going to hit a ceiling. We have a member, a beautiful member, who's a fertility specialist. Now, she was doing a whole lot of one-on-one sessions, and her appointment book, it was always full because she's fantastic at what she does. And so I suggested that she raise her prices, and she did. And guess what? Nothing changed. They kept booking. So she raised her prices again, still full. And she realized the issue wasn't her pricing. She was charging a price that people were very happy to pay. It was her business model. She was at capacity. So she changed her business model and she stepped into the identity of someone who didn't only work one-on-one. She started to create leveraged income. And that shift, that was firstly an identity shift. So we talk about the two costs, costing you time, costing you money. The third thing it costs you, being in the gap between the operator and the leader, is that it costs you your energy. The constant mental load, the weight of carrying everything, the exhaustion of being on all the time, it's just not sustainable. And deep down, you and I both know it. And the fourth thing, and this is the one most people don't talk about, is it costs you your joy. Most of us started our business to do work that we love. But when you're trapped in the operator role, it's very hard to feel joyful. You're surviving, you're not thriving. And I want more for you than that. So I want you to listen to this. These are the exact words from one of our clients. Again, this is someone who's working with me on her leadership. And she said, it's given me so much confidence this last week to do things. She said, even having lunch with my mum, I haven't done that in, a year. And somehow I thought, I'm a leader. I can actually do what I want. And that's to have lunch with my mother because I can. Now, to give you a bit of background, the task for that particular person was to look at her schedule and start to build in some things that bring her joy. Spending time with her mum was something she said she hadn't been able to do for a year. And I know this. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been trying to get to a massage for ages. Why can I not seem to fit it into my calendar? Or whatever that is for you, whatever it is that's going to bring you joy. But that one really got me because it shows how deep the gap goes. It's not just about business decisions. It's about giving yourself permission to live the life that you actually want. And when the gap is open, even something as simple as lunch with your mum feels like something you can't afford to do. Who can do that when there's so many people clutching at you or there's so many commitments? Now, I want to tell you a personal story because I think this matters. Now, there was a time when PJ and I were running businesses across the US, New Zealand, and Australia. At the time, we were living in Phoenix in Arizona. So I was stretched across 3 countries and 3 time zones, and I had teams all over. But I was still the one holding it all together. And one day, I collapsed. I was on the phone to my marketing coordinator, Lisa, and mid-sentence, everything just went black. I fell to the floor. PJ heard the thud from downstairs. My body had finally said, enough. And that moment, and I hope you never have that experience, that moment changed everything for me. I realized that I couldn't keep going that way, that the gap between who I was being and who I needed to become as a leader were too big to ignore. And what had to change wasn't my strategy, it wasn't my systems, it wasn't my team, it was me. It was how I operated. It was my identity as the center of my business, the one that does everything, the one that can always be relied on to be working, no matter what time of day or night it is. As I said, I don't want that moment for you. I want you to close the gap before your body forces you to. So from everything I've learned, both from my own journey and from watching thousands of women make this transition from operator to leader, I've identified 4 shifts that women make when they actually close the identity gap. And I call it the LEAD method. And now LEAD is an acronym, and I'm going to walk you through it. The L is for liberate. This is about liberating yourself from an old identity. You have to see the operator identity clearly, who she is, what she believes, how she operates, before you can let her go. We want to thank her for everything that she's done, for bringing you to this point, and then we want to release her because you can't become the leader while you're still holding on to the operator so tightly. So that's the L in the LEAD method. The E is for enroll. This is about enrolling others in your vision. This is the role of a leader. So not adding tasks to others' lists or giving them orders. It's about painting a picture so compelling that people choose to come with you. I can just feel the leverage in what I just said. They want to help you bring your vision to life, not because they have to, but because they're excited about it too. And I'll tell you, this is where so many women get stuck because we're smart, we hold complexity easily, we can see connections that others don't, but when we try to communicate what's in our head, something gets lost. And our team nods politely, but nothing really changes. And eventually we think, oh my gosh, I can only rely on myself. Someone said to me last week, I'm almost apologetic when I ask team members to do things. It's like, oh, sorry to impose on you, can you do some work? And we had a little laugh, but it's so real. Many of us are leading with an apology instead of a direction. Your team doesn't need you to be sorry for asking. They need to know where you're going, why it matters, and what you need from them. So they need to know what is your vision for this project, this quarter, the finances, this marketing, whatever it is, why it matters, and what you need from them. Because people want to be part of something meaningful, but we have to, as leaders, enroll them in that. The A in the LEAD method is for allow. And it might be the hardest one for you high achievers. This is about putting down what isn't yours to carry and allowing others to step up, allowing yourself to really receive support, allowing things to be good enough and not perfect. And if you're getting a twitch just hearing that, stay with me. There's a great line that I love. It's from a book called Buy Back Your Time. And the author says 80% done by someone else is 100% awesome. And as I said, I know that may make you twitch, but think about it this way. Imagine there's 100%. And you handle the first 10%. That's you enrolling people in the vision. Here's what success looks like. Here's what the project is. Here's what the task is, etc. Someone else takes and owns the 80%, or someone's. And you come back for for the final 10%. Isn't that better than being 100% responsible for everything every single day? So that is the A in the lead method. And D is for delegate. And I don't mean delegating tasks. Leaders don't just delegate tasks. They delegate outcomes. They build capability in their team members. They create systems and structures where decisions get made without them. And that is how you get your freedom back. Now, understanding these shifts is one thing, these 4 shifts that I mentioned. Liberate, enroll, allow, and delegate. But actually making them, that is something else entirely. And from everything I've seen, there are 3 things you need to actually close the gap. The first is having a framework or a pathway. So not random tactics or general advice, but a structured approach that takes you from operator to leader step by step. Second, you need support, someone who's been there, who can guide you through that messy middle, because identity shifts are deep work. You need someone who can see in you what you can't see in yourself. I know for me, it's been my mentors and the people around me who've seen the leader in me before I could see her myself. And third, you need the right environment. It's very hard to make a shift when you're surrounded by the same conditions that created your existing patterns and old patterns that you keep repeating. You need to be around other women who are making the same transition, women who are showing up as leaders, who can be your role models and who believe in the version of you that is emerging. One of our members said, "I'm so grateful for the women I get to connect with. They're smart, intelligent, and beautiful humans. And for me, I'm in a point in my leadership when I'm stepping out of the CEO role into a real director's role. So this is all real." Another said, "I just love seeing all the women in the group growing together as a group. It's really lovely." And so what I wanted to say is that you can read every book and watch every video, but unless you're in the gym with a trainer and a program structured for your goals, it's hard to see the results of getting fit. And closing the identity gap as a leader works exactly that way. And here's what I want you to know. On the other side of the identity gap, things look very different. The women I've watched close this gap, some as recently in just the last couple of weeks, is that they don't just run better businesses, they live differently. They make decisions faster because they trust themselves. They lead their teams with clarity instead of anxiety. They take time off and the business doesn't fall apart. They stop carrying everything and they start creating space for what actually matters. That is not a fantasy. That is what's possible when you step into the identity of a leader. And once you start operating that way, you cannot go back. You won't want to. The way you make decisions, the way you hold your boundaries, the way you show up for your team, it shifts permanently. So I want to leave you with a question to sit with. And it's this: who do you need to become to lead the next chapter of your business? Not what do you need to learn, not what system do you need to implement, but instead, who do you need to become? Because the version of you who started this business may not be the version of you who needs to lead it now. And that's not a problem. That is about your growth. That is about your evolution. And it's the most important work that you can do. So if what I've said here today resonated with you, I would love to hear about it. Send me a direct message on Instagram. You will find us at Her Business. Or share this episode with another woman business owner who might just need to hear this today. And if you are not already part of the Her Business Network, this is exactly the kind of conversation we have every day inside of our community. And we are just in the process of developing additional leadership resources for women. So just direct message me on Her Business and I will firstly respond to your question or comments. But second, I'll make sure my team notifies you of some of the really great programs we have coming up for leaders. Now, on our website at herbusiness.com/354, and that's because this is episode 354, you're going to find a summary of today's episode and links to the resources I've mentioned. If you are new to listening to the show, welcome. Go ahead and hit subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. It really helps women find us. And if you are new to the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening. So thank you so much for being here. Go out there, close the identity gap. I'm here to support you any way that I can. And join us for the next episode for more inspiring stories and lessons from successful female entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next week, right here on the Her Business Podcast. Bye for now.